Hey you! Welcome to Dish and Tell, the place where stories linger long after the last bite. And I am so excited for you to meet my guest for this episode because he is the entire reason why my freezer is stocked with so many delicious and amazing things. Eric Robinson is a fifth-generation Montana rancher who, alongside his wife, Juliana, are raising beef with a whole lot of care and compassion just down the road from me at Shields Valley Ranchers. So when I asked him to pick the dish that holds the most story for him, it really came as no surprise that he said a classic pot roast. So I took a page from Eric's playbook and I looked to the land for inspiration. I made us a Montana pot roast using his own beef, a beautiful cut of chuck roast, seared and braised low and slow just until it fell apart, and tumbled it with carrots and parsnips and my newest obsession, rutabaga. And the recipe is linked in the show notes. Make sure you check it out because it is exactly the type of Sunday cooking your soul has been craving. But anyway, back to Eric. Here's the twist, as you'll hear in the episode. For Eric, the pot roast itself really isn't the point. It's really more about the leftovers and the memory of everything his mom stretched them into, sustaining the family through those really busy times on the ranch. So after we dug into the dish, our conversation wandered somewhere I didn't expect. We got into the ghosts in the ground, as Eric puts it, that he feels every time he's working his land, the decision to take the farm regenerative, and how that decision nearly cost him the entire ranch, and a definition of wealth that has absolutely nothing to do with your bank account. So as you listen, I'd love for you to think about where the real richness lives in your own life. The beauty, the time, the people, the passions that you just can't put a price tag on. And if you're in the Bozeman area, go visit Eric's front porch. That reference will make sense after you listen to the episode, at the Gallatin Valley Farmers Market every Saturday out at the fairgrounds. And be sure to tell him I sent you. Okay, let's get to it. I'm so glad you're here. All right. Eric Robinson, welcome to Dish and Tell.
Well, thank you for having me. This is awesome.
I'm so excited to have you here. And when I first met you at the Bozeman Farmers Market, gosh, how many years ago now?
So I think that was 5 years. That was our first market season. I think it was 5 years ago.
Yeah,
so on the Tuesday market. So.
Never could have anticipated that we'd be here right now.
No, and we'd stayed in touch and just, yeah, it's awesome.
Well, it's your fault we stayed in touch because you made the mistake of throwing an invite out there, and I'm the person that will always say yes. So wait, for background. So I know we met at the farmer's market because I was helping a dear friend of mine who created Gastronome.
That's right.
At her booth, and it happened to be right next to yours, and just got to chit-chatting with you and your wife, Juliana, and then bought some of your beef, and it just rocked my world. And then I think I just came back every time after that, like every week, to re-up my supply. And then you were having a cookout out at your home.
Yep.
And you threw out very casually, hey, you should come on by.
Yeah, and you did.
And I did.
And you did.
Because I'm not the person that you can just casually throw that out to unless you mean it. You know?
And that's the thing. Like that's exactly what it was. It was meant to be accepted. And it's actually pretty rare that people do. We've thrown out a lot of invitations and been like, yeah, we'll never see them again. So I'm glad that you showed up. So,
well, listen, it's such a beautiful drive, beautiful ranch, and you and your family are such beautiful people.
Well, thank you so much.
I had to say yes.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that was. I remember that, and we cooked smash burgers. That was so much fun.
It was a blast, truly. So we will get into a love of the land, generational ranching, just all of these other things. But first, because this is Dish and Tell, we always start with the food, with your dish the thing that holds the most story for you. And you told me that it was a pot roast, but then there was like a little kind of subscript note of, but actually it's more the leftovers.
Right, right.
So tell me the story.
Well, so a pot roast was a staple when I was growing up, and but we wouldn't have it one time. We'd make a huge pot roast.
Yeah. Like how many pounds of beef would you start with?
It varied. It was kind of whatever we had in the freezer, 5 pounds, 8 pounds, whatever the roast was cut at. And that would decide how many meals, essentially, and how hungry everybody was. But yeah, it wasn't like, the pot roast was always good, but it was always like the first step.
Yeah.
And then after that, we would make sandwiches, or she would chunk it up into little chunks, throw it in gravy, and put it over bread. And it was always...
Yum.
During like super busy times.
Yeah.
So you could throw a pot roast in, you could have it, then the next day you'd have this other, it just, and to me, that's like, my mother grew up and learned from somebody that was Depression era. So nothing was wasted at all. And that's kind of, and that's kind of what we did. You just kept it going, so.
Yeah.
And this is a wonderful pot roast, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. I got to admit, I cooked pot roast a couple of times in testing and preparing for this, but this is the first time I've really made a pot roast myself. I've always enjoyed somebody else's, but I've never taken the reins. So I'm glad that you approve. I feel like I cheated by starting with the best cut of beef ever. Doing research and looking into it, there's all these instructions about trimming and dressing and doing all this stuff. And the beef I got from you was so gorgeous. I just seasoned it up, gave it a sear, and then... low and slow, baby. Just let it do its thing.
That's exactly right, and that's what we try to tell people. Like, it's with anything. It's not just food. It's whatever you're doing. If you start with a quality product, it becomes easy to be an expert at it. Like, you don't have to do a lot to it.
No,
so,
not at all. Okay,
that's my theory.
Now this is a chuck roast that I used for this. What cut of beef typically is used for a pot roast?
A lot of times it's a chuck, and I think that's strictly because it's a well-known roast. The roasts are they're middle cuts. They're not sought after, so to speak. So really you've got a chuck and a rump are kind of known.
Yeah.
But literally any roast will work for a pot roast. And it does obviously help to know there's some that are a little tougher, some that are a little leaner. So you've got to have your wants in your own mind. So.
So what veggies typically adorned your pot roast growing up?
Well, always potatoes, almost always carrots. It was typically whatever was freshest from the garden if it was summertime, or whatever was closest to the edge of the pantry if it was in the wintertime. Because my mom had and my grandmother had huge gardens, and so they would grow their own vegetables and then can them. And so usually, like about April, May-ish, we kind of run out of vegetables. And so we stopped eating vegetables that time of year because we were out of the stuff we canned. The garden hadn't come into play yet. So it was literally whatever was handy at the time and very seasonal with the fresh stuff. So
which is the way we're meant to eat and enjoy.
Exactly.
Well, that's a little bit why mine includes some of the veggies that it does, because I looked to what we had available here in Montana, and we always have an abundance of root vegetables. So carrots, parsnips are in this, and rather than go the traditional potato root, which I love potatoes in all forms, I swapped in a rutabaga because I always see them in the grocery store, at the farmer's market, and I had never cooked with them. And when I did a little research, I saw that they are not strangers to a pot roast, so I thought it'd be just kind of fun.
Well, and they are delicious. I've never had one before. I had to ask you what it was. But absolutely delicious and very potato-like and very Montana-esque as far as root vegetables are the king of this area.
Yeah,
so
they really are.
My grandmother actually would leave carrots in her garden year-round. That's what she wouldn't can them or freeze them or anything. She would just put straw bales over the top of the carrots. And then when she wanted carrots, she would go out, whether it's January or whatever, move a straw bale and dig carrots from the garden.
Wait, you could do that? Oh my gosh.
I've never tried it.
My mind is blown right now.
Yeah, she did it all the time. As a matter of fact,
Grandma.
yeah,
Love it.
we called her Grammy, and my grandfather was Pappy. It was Wendell and Norma. And every now and again in the fall, you'd hear her say things like, Wendell, you need to get me some little square straw bales, because it was the ones that she could handle. And I'm sure in exactly that same voice.
So. 100%. That's amazing. I love that. Well, we are drinking today a wine that I'm very excited about. So Pinot Noir is a classic pairing with pot roast, and Nebbiolo is often the Italian version of Pinot Noir.
Okay.
Kind of a loose description of it and not fully accurate, because structurally they're actually pretty different, but they have similar color, similar nose, and terroir is really important to them, which is a fancy way of saying they're both just kind of finicky and sensitive to their environment.
Okay.
And the land and the soil from which they're grown are really important. And so that just felt like a really special bottle to share with you, someone who is such a steward of your land. And I just thought that that would be very cool to share with you.
Well, thank you. And it is delicious. And
well, cheers, my friend.
Yes, clinkies.
And
It's, absolutely delicious.
it's so nice. I was lucky enough to meet this winemaker back in December, Luca Leggero, and he is a man possessed in the absolute best way. He keeps a really high bar and standard for his wines, high level of excellence. His whole philosophy is like, there are no bad bottles.
Okay.
And he started tinkering in his family's cellar at 15, making wine.
Me too.
And right? Put it on the shelf for a bit, explored some other things, but came back to it. And he's just so passionate about what he does that I was asking him what a perfect day off is. And he said, well, it's going out and tending to my vines. It's pruning my grapes. And so I'm like, okay, there are no off days.
Vacation every day.
100%. So
Awesome.
okay. Here at Dish and Tell, we focus a little bit less, I focus a little bit less on what people do and more on what they think or how they feel. But as a third generation rancher, it strikes me that there's really no separation there. And it just got me thinking, like, there's this little bit of this cultural observation I had where ranchers and farmers and winemakers really distinguish themselves by naming and acknowledging the generation that they represent. Yet the career that I was a part of, the advertising world, it's not like people go, well, I'm a third generation copywriter. Like that's just not happening. And so it occurred to me that I think this answer goes so much deeper, because it's not identity in the sense of like, this is what I do. It's really in the marrow of your bones. And I think that with the ag community, what you do is so firmly linked with the land itself that it's not this job you inherited, but it's a place that you're stewarding. And I'm just curious if that feels like an accurate assessment, or if you've given much thought to that sort of nuance.
Actually, I've given a lot of thought to it. And I'm going to make a correction first. I'm third generation on the place we are on. However, I am fifth generation in the area, which is literally 2 miles from where we're videoing this or filming this. Was where my mother was raised, and I'm fifth generation within the Shields Valley, third generation on the ranch that we are on.
Okay. Thank you for correcting me on that.
I had to catch you once.
I'm so glad though. That's awesome.
And it is interesting because, agriculture, or people that work the land are very proud of their heritage, their background. I think a lot of it stems from there's really only one way to learn how to do it, and that's from somebody ahead of you. So my whole life I've interned, if you will.
Like an apprenticeship.
Yeah, like an apprenticeship with my grandfather, my uncles. I had 4 uncles that were ranch. Like literally everybody in my family, and it's part of the tradition is like your children go to work with you. You pass the knowledge down and really instill the love, if you will, of the land and the understanding of how things work. Now, I will say that can be detrimental, and it actually typically is. So in this regenerative journey that we're on, that was the old way of doing things.
Yeah.
But through the generations, there's always the bigger, better deal, the easier, newer, faster. This one's going to make you money, and so we've evolved as agriculturists, and in came chemicals, fertilizers, all kinds of things that are now considered kind of the norm, and we're now trying to go back. And so there's this kind of thought of, well, we found better ways to do it. Why would you go back?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, one of the things I'm learning is that the ways that we found that were better, they were a Band-Aid approach. They kind of were quick fix, during the Depression and during wars, we need to really up production. Let's do this. And yeah, it works fine, and it's relatively safe for a small amount of time, but you can't do it time and time again.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, it became the time and time again scenario. And I was actually thinking about this on the way up, almost like a addiction, which we've in my mind, and I'm not always right, I'll tell you that, even though I tell my kids I am, but the way I believe is that the use of chemical fertilizers, these things, makes the ground reliant on them. And so the ground almost, for lack of a better term, becomes addicted.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon you can't stop because the ground has to have it. And when we stopped using that type of stuff, I would like to say that I was wholly environmentally decided. That was the only reason. A lot of it was financial. It's very expensive to use.
Oh, of course.
So that was a big driving factor for me, was the financial end of it. And we went cold turkey, and it nearly bankrupted us. In 2 to 3 years, our crops went down really quickly. We weren't producing hay. Cattle were still doing fine. Native grasses were still doing fine. But it's not something you want to do just because you want to do it.
Yeah, just because it sounds good to say.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's a struggle a lot of agriculture. And that's one of the problems with learning from all these people before you is that you also learn their bad habits and you learn their reliances.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the question. I rambled there. This is where my wife would be like, "You're losing them. You're losing them."
No, we're with you.
Okay.
We're with you.
But yeah, so that's the generational thing. It's deep in my heart, and it's like my fondest memories are of the older people in my life, and neighbors, friends, relatives, all that have gone before me, and remembering them, what they loved to do, and that was farm and ranch.
Yeah.
And so yes, it is part of our DNA and part of our blood, and I hope it's part of my children's. We'll see.
Yeah. So what does it really mean in the day-to-day of being a fifth generation rancher? Because is it you feel your grandfather there with you? In good ways, bad ways, I guess reflections when you're just man, this bad habit that I picked up now I'm trying to rewire and do different, or how do the generations stick with you?
Well, with me, they're always with me.
Yeah.
I think a lot about my dad, who passed away 11 years ago, very young, very sudden. Well, seemed sudden. It was. He passed away from cancer. And I suddenly went from kind of the hired man and to the man. And my dad's kind of belief, and he was a great man, but his was, there's two ways to do things, my way and the wrong way. And so I didn't really get a lot of say in a lot of the management, if you will, decisions.
I was going to ask if you had an opportunity to kind of challenge some of the things you were seeing.
I did try. It didn't
very quickly
work.
Were silenced.
Yes. Unless it was an agreement, and there was a lot of we tried that once, it didn't work, or things like that. Also, in the same aspect, he wasn't afraid to try new things himself. And so that actually gave me almost permission.
Yeah, license to speak up and try.
Yeah, and then when I became the man, so to speak, I didn't feel like I was stuck. However, getting back to that, how do you feel the generations there? I often wonder, what would my grandfather think? What would my great-grandfather think? And I always come up with kind of the same answer that, they were all risk takers. They were all, they all had business minds about them. My grandfather, the place that we're on that I am third generation of, he had 25 cents in his pocket when he bought the ranch.
And that
newly
was when?
married.
1953?
1953. He bought in 53. They moved on in 54. He did have my great-grandfather's backing, which was a very successful horse rancher in Clyde Park. So it wasn't like he just totally went out on the limb.
Yeah. There was a little bit of a safety net there.
There was a little
Some
bit of a
knowledge,
safety
yeah.
net and stuff, but it was a different time too. Things were differently priced. Nobody had any money.
What led your grandfather to do that? Did it just feel like a good opportunity in that moment, like something he'd always wanted to do?
I never actually met my grandfather, so I couldn't answer. My feeling is, so he grew up in Camp Crook, South Dakota.
Okay.
Dirt floor poor. He actually moved out of his family's house when he was 8 years old.
Whoa.
And he moved to Clyde Park, where his job was breaking horses for the military for my great-grandfather. So I think probably a lot of his motivation was, I need to provide better for my family. There's a lot of ghosts in the ground, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's actually awesome. I wish that everybody could feel like I do when I go out and I know that there's people right beside me all the time. Like, I'm never really alone, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's comforting.
I get that.
So
I think especially out here in this just wide open space and with the crazies so close, and I don't know, there's something that just feels so connected and really grounding to me. So I can only imagine with
it's
your
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And to look over, I'm on the Bridger side of things, is where our ranch is. My mom was raised in the original homestead, is over on the crazy side of things. I can literally look across the valley and I can say that's where this happened, or that's where,
It's really cool.
having history somewhere. And I'm sure that a lot of people that have stayed with their family roots feel similar things. I really, truly, or I hope they do, I guess.
I don't know. There is just something about that staying power and the longevity of stewarding the land that feels really just powerful.
It is very powerful, and it's very deep roots. But I was actually just talking to a friend of mine 2 days ago, and he bought a ranch. Started it. He was not a rancher. Never claimed to be a rancher. He's about my age, so 47 if you're counting. And he was saying he feels like some of the long-time residents kind of give him the side eye. He feels like.
Turn their nose up a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. And I had to remind him that there is no fifth generation out here that had not been a first generation originally.
That's a good point.
That you have to, I don't understand why people have to feel entitled because, well, I've been here, my family's been here for ages. Yes, it is a point to be proud of, all these things. But somebody was here the first time.
Yeah.
And my family got lucky, and we moved out here early. However, the only reason we stayed in agriculture during the Depression, they tried to sell. Nobody wanted it.
Wow.
So the only option they had was to stay in it. But literally, they were in it because they couldn't get out.
Isn't it wild to kind of go back in our history and be able to pinpoint moments where it was really a crossroads and your life could look so different had the ranch sold?
Exactly.
Wow. And so I know that today you and Juliana are working hard to build a functional ranch that's free from debt for the next generation.
Right.
And you hinted at it already that you'd love for them to take it on someday. And I know that it's also really important to the both of you to teach your kiddos just the importance of thinking outside the box and like really inspiring them to follow what they love, chase what they love. So does that come with a little bit of an asterisk though? Like as long as it's connected here in some way, like what do dinner table conversations look like with you guys?
Oh, dinner conversation. Oh man. They range from anything from my kids are involved in sports. My daughter does 3 sports. My son only does 1 now, but that's because it's the only one that's offered to a 5th grader. But
yeah, and remind me their ages.
They're 11 and 13.
Okay.
Abigail actually graduates 8th grade this weekend.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I'm not near old enough to have a daughter moving on to high school, but anyway.
We'll cry about that off camera.
Yeah. It actually hasn't really hit me yet. I think it will Sunday when they do a full-on ceremony with the seniors.
That's really
So
special.
yeah, it is.
That's cool.
So we talk about anything and everything, what's going on with the kids. My son is super active and typically in some sort of trouble because he's got to be busy all the time. And he was just like I was. So I totally get it.
They're so spirited in the most fun way. I mean, truly, when I've gone out to the ranch, I'm driving down the dirt road and they're flying out like, hey, let me show you my 4-H badge and come and meet this new calf. And it's just awesome.
It is. And it is very special to me. And it's one day I do hope that they take over the ranch. But honestly, my goal is so that when that time comes, there's an option and it's a legitimate option with financial benefits to stay on the ranch. If they want to leave the ranch, I actually went to school for elementary education. I knew I wanted to be back. I wanted to go do some other things in the world. I did some kind of cool things, but always in the back of my mind was, when am I coming back? I kind of had originally planned on 10 years being gone. I wanted to go experience life elsewhere for 10 years. I was gone for professionally for I think 3 years. And one day I got up and I said to myself, I have to go to work. And a thought struck me. When did I start saying I have to go to work? And when is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't say that most times anymore. There are times when I do. But when you have, my opinion, and I realize not everybody is as fortunate as I, but I believe when you have that thought, that feeling of, I have to do this, it's time to think about something else. I was fortunate. I was single. I had almost no bills. I think I had a pickup payment and probably a cell phone bill.
How old were you?
22, 23, something like that.
That feels like an incredible thought to me for a 22, 23-year-old to have. Like, very evolved, truly.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I tell my wife all the time that I'm like so far advanced.
Listen, it took me until I was probably 40 before I started asking that question and really considering it, in a way that felt like, now how can I take action and change that narrative for myself?
Well, I knew, I guess, in my mind that if I ever got married, had kids, and was still living that life, and don't get me wrong, it was not a bad life.
No.
It just wasn't
the one that
it wasn't my
spoke to
heart.
you.
But had I gotten married, had I had kids, I literally could see myself still doing that job because I felt stuck.
Yeah.
I also gave up $40,000 a year to make that move back to the ranch. So bills were super important. I didn't have any. I called up my parents and I said, hey, I know we don't have much. I know we can't afford much, but is there a way that I can still survive? And I would take odd jobs. And my rule was, if I worked for somebody else for 2 days and I got paid what I made from the ranch on a month, I didn't get paid from the ranch that month.
Yeah.
And so it was the last time I really had a strict budget. I need to do it again, but I knew I needed X to survive. And as long as I got to X, and my rule was, I want to be able to pay my bills and go have a beer a couple times a month. And that's all I really need.
It's amazing how little we really do need. And when you are waking up every day and saying, wow, I get to go do this, it just changes everything. And you start looking at, sure, financial abundance, wealth, that does mean one thing. And we live in this consumer plane where it's important to a degree, but also there's wealth in beauty, in freedom, in time, in friendship, in, all of these other things that I think get shadowed sometimes. And so when we can remember and wake up to all of these things, I think it just exposes a whole new world of potential and possibility. That's really beautiful.
And I truly believe that if the world would be such a much better place if we all had the attitude of, I don't need the money, the cars, the house, but I do need the happiness, the ability to spend time with family and friends. That's important.
I think it would actually shift us a bit out of competition and into one of more collaboration with each other.
Yes, it would absolutely, and I think we used to live a little bit more that way.
Yeah.
Everybody romanticizes the past, but I look back and they didn't have much, but what they had was real.
Yeah.
It was important.
Yeah.
So,
well, and we've talked a little bit in the past about the importance of front porches and front porch culture and how it's really kind of dying. And it's really, I think, impacting our communities because the porches were gathering spaces for storytelling, places to process news and information, just to check in on each other. There's spontaneous, I'm just going to drop by and maybe, have a beer with my neighbor. With that, I mean, do you think that there is anything that is maybe moving in and helping take the place of the absence of front porches? Do you think the culture still exists in more rural communities?
I think it does to an extent. I was thinking about this the other day because we chatted about it, and I love the front porch analogy. It's just one of my favorite things in the world. But it seems like it does and it doesn't. We went through a summer where it was literally every 2 or 3 days somebody was stopping by, and it was usually around 4 or 5 o'clock, and we'd sit down and have an iced tea or a beer or whatever it was, and just chit chat. And I hate to say it, almost to the point where it kind of got old, because it's like, oh my God, I still got this to do, and
got a few hours worth of work here.
Yeah, exactly. And then it kind of stopped. Not totally sure why, just did.
They were picking up on your vibe.
Maybe they were picking up on my vibe. My house is always welcome to everybody. There's ample room.
I'm going to put your address in the show notes.
There we go. But it feels like it's very streaky. And I remember even when I was younger, we had a few scattered summers where it was like that with the neighbors and the friends. I feel like it's getting fewer between those years. Yeah. And I think everybody's just hustling. Everybody's just so busy now, and feel like they don't have time to take the time. Yeah. And I think it's so important to take the time. It's really hard to do, though. Yeah. I mean, to convince yourself of that point. So.
That it's important and to factor that in. I was thinking, is there anything that feels like it's maybe taken the place of the front porch? And I was like, well, maybe a farmer's market or maybe a coffee shop where you're just kind of pulling up a chair and sitting there. But there is something that's just, it's markedly different when you're just going about your day at your house. Maybe you're doing some dishes and then somebody walks up and you look how you look and you just put the things down and you choose to just kind of sit there and share space. It's so different. When you're at the farmer's market, I think you get a bit of it, but you're there running your errands and you've got other things to do. And you, as somebody who's there selling things, you can only focus your attention on me for so long, but you got to socialize with other people too.
Well, that is true. And I do get in trouble for that because we do believe one of the things my wife and I, Juliana, both believe is that if you take the time to come ask us questions, and we will take the time to answer them. I think that's one of the reasons that we've had the success we've had is that we truly do want you to leave knowing something maybe you didn't know originally. Education is huge for us. Transparency is huge for us. If you don't understand something, please ask.
I still have that little card you guys made. It's of the cow with the different cuts because I always forget. I think I'm good, and then I get to a butcher or to someone like you, and I'm trying to ask for the cuts that I want, and I black out. I get intimidated and self-conscious and don't know what to do. I study that thing.
Good. Everybody should.
So, what's a common misconception that people have about ranchers or about ranching in general?
There's a few, I think. The thought that and this is not just ranchers, it's farmers, ranchers, most people in agriculture, that they're in it for the money, and that, you know, it's all about a quick dollar. My dad always used to say, we don't even sell cattle. We sell hay and labor. That's what we sell. We just ship it through the cattle.
Yeah.
That's our business.
Yeah. This winemaker, he talks about how he doesn't make the wine. He's a grape farmer, and the wine is actually made on the vine, and so it's his responsibility. That's why he likes to prune and take care of them on his days off.
Exactly.
Because this is the beef is the beautiful output of all of the work that gets to that point.
Exactly. And it's really hard to get wealthy in agriculture. There's one time you're going to be wealthy in agriculture, and that's if you get out and sell your property. There are people that are well off, but, you know, people see them drive new vehicles or this or that or the other thing, new tractors. It's not what they would like to necessarily spend their money on, but it's equipment. And actually, we were applying for a license, and there was two versions of the same license. One was a $100 version, one was a $10,000 version.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's a lot different.
Yeah. And this one person at this particular agency looked at my mother, who, by the way, is loud and comfortable with her opinion.
I haven't even met your mom, and I like her.
Looked at her and said, "What do you care? You're a rich rancher anyway. Just pay the $10,000."
Wow.
And this is somebody that is supposed to be working with agriculture.
Yeah. That doesn't feel very good.
And just these, and I don't know. Part of my struggle is that I think about are the misconceptions I think other people have.
Yeah.
My wife usually grounds me a little bit as far as like, no, people don't actually think that. Or, well, yeah, you're right, people think that. So her and I kind of complete each other on so many levels, but that's one of the ways she helps me out is understanding.
But I think that's a really human response, though, too, Eric. It's like feeling misunderstood or just not seen is a really tough thing to accept. You know?
It is. It absolutely is.
You realize that so much of that is really more about them than you, but it is a challenge to separate that and to recognize it. So I'm glad Joanna's there to help balance it out and remind you.
She is so much more than just my wife. It's crazy. And we do make a very good team because of
you make a great team.
Thank you. And I do believe it's the checks and balances that we offer each other. So, I'm super, super unbelievably lucky to have her. So, but yeah, that's just, I don't know. The farmer's market is nice because it allows me to connect with people that aren't in agriculture but want to feel connected to their food, want to understand how and where things come from, and I really enjoy people that when they sit down to a meal, they don't want to just have it as pure nourishment. They want to, there's a story behind a meal, and that's so important.
It's what Dish and Tell's all about.
I know, this is the podcast for me. Like, this is, I love to eat, and like the story behind the food is so important.
I agree.
You know, the carrots, everything has a tale to tell. So it's just important to understand it. And if we can understand each other and how we're thinking and what we believe in and have some grace and some acceptance about us, man, what a world.
What a world. What a better world.
Exactly.
Be, huh?
I actually have a funny story.
Yeah,
so
please,
the
tell me.
Tuesday market was our very first market where we met.
Yeah.
That was my first foray into the farmer's market.
Which blows my mind. You were a natural right from the start.
I've had several instructors saying I needed to sell cars. But we had a person come by, and I said hello to them, and they said, not very interested, I'm a vegetarian.
Tough sell.
Yeah. To which I said, really? Why? With curiosity, my wife nearly fell over. Like, you cannot be asking this person why they're a vegetarian. They sat and we talked for 45 minutes. Wow. And I do make it almost a point. Not you know, I've got to be in the right mood. The person's got to like kind of put off the right vibe. But I do want to know why, because if it is an ethical thing of how of eating animals or whatever, there's this whole moral, ethical, I understand. I don't care. Honestly, I would like to know why, because if it's something that can be, that I can...
It can be remedied through just education.
Right, exactly. Is it a misconception, a misunderstanding? I've given up trying to change anybody's mind, but I do actively, and vegans are my favorite. But I do actively want to know what in your life has made you decide to go this way. And had some really great conversations, and sold beef to some of them.
I bet. I bet.
So, and I mean, that's like...
What a win, yeah.
You know, exactly. It's one of my favorite things. But that
your
whole
curiosity is one of my favorite things.
I love it.
It truly. Well, and it just, there's someone who I find just massively inspiring, chef, activist, Jose Andreas, and he talks a lot about we don't need higher walls, we need longer tables. We just need to come together in conversation.
It's my cup of tea, to a tea, like sitting down and truly with engagement, learning about somebody else. And the key is with engagement. I mean, we've all seen that person that's like, oh, okay, yeah.
I know, looking around behiund you for the next more interesting person.
And it's hard to talk to that person, but to be truly engaged. And I am a very curious person. You know, curiosity did kill the cat, and it might be the death of me one day. But I do...
Maybe you're like a cat and you've got 9 lives, so that's okay.
Maybe with a little luck. There's some debate on whether I've used up a couple of those, but that's neither here nor there. But like that thirst of knowledge, I'm so lucky to... I told you originally I went into elementary education. Education is so very important to me. My wife is a school psychologist. She wants to not only educate, but educate the people that are very challenged, very, you know, those are her kids she wants to help, you know. And so education has been very natural to me, or has always been a love of mine, and hers as well. And so I do believe that, you know, at the farmer's market is my soapbox, my stage, if you will. But I will also say, when we went in, I thought we would be the ones doing all the teaching. And there is no way that I've taught anybody as much as other people have taught me about what the people, the consumer, actually care about, actually want. And I realize this is a small cross-section, but like I'm wowed at meeting some of these people that have become very close friends. Case in point. So it's awesome to me. I love it. Absolutely love it. And it is my front porch. I do feel like that's
your
my
pulpit,
spot.
Your front porch.
Exactly.
Whatever we want to call it.
Yep, exactly. So, and it is a way to teach my kids. That first year at that Tuesday market, so my daughter would have been 9 at the time. And she really isn't too keen on agriculture. She's now she's a teenage girl, so I don't know what is going through her mind most of the time. But regardless,
you just gotta put your seatbelt on and just brace yourself for the next few years, I think.
And she's a great kid, and she's super, super intelligent, but she doesn't really have much of a interest in taking on the ranch, doing the ranch work, stuff like that.
Not right now.
Not right now. But I think it was early in the market season, and she had come over with us, and she looked at me and said, "Dad, I could see a place for me in agriculture now." By being with us at the market,
cool.
understanding that it's marketing and business. And I was like, I don't care if we never make a dime. I am a market lover for life now, just because of that.
Abigail's a fierce salesperson.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
The amount of the tallow hand cream that you guys make that I've bought because she's so good with her pitch. I'm just like, yep, okay, say less.
Yes, just fill me a bag. It'll be fine. Both my kids have the gift of gab that I have. They're both very intelligent, and weirdly, they've listened. Because every now and again, I'll catch them and I'll be like, no way they heard what I just said. And then they'll tell it to you 10 minutes later. And I'm like, all right, well, okay, they were listening. So
learning in action.
Yeah. And they are excellent salespeople, and I often tell them our sales do actually go up
When they're
when
there.
they're there.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it's about 25% per kid. It's not like a little bounce.
Wow, that's significant.
Yes, and so we actually, when we can remember to do it, have started paying them, because if they're going to be doing a good job, they're going to be
Oh, that's
also
awesome.
doing,
Yeah.
getting a pay anyway. So, but yeah, I just love it when the whole family goes, and it's like this whole family event, and
Yeah, it's sweet. It's really sweet.
it's awesome.
So beef is having a bit of a moment right now. It is absolutely what's for dinner. It's putting a spotlight on the industry, your business, in a way that historically I don't think it really has before, where there are record high prices and tight supply. U.S. cattle inventory is the smallest it's been in more than 70 years. So I'm just curious, like, how does that translate to you guys in your operation and what you're doing?
It's super exciting. It's this. Agriculture is finally able to make a little bit of money, but it's misleading also. So beef prices have, I can't remember. I was looking at the statistics on this the other day. Essentially, they've doubled. We're just going to throw out some theoretical numbers.
Okay.
Our input costs have tripled. So while we're getting more money per head than we've ever received before, we're spending above that, and our margins are thinner than ever. And we're talking about margins that on the best day, we're talking 15 to 20%.
Wow.
And so now we're down to that 10%. We're looking at, and there's no new people coming in, so we're looking at a major overturn. The average rancher's age is pushing 60 years old right now. There's no new young people coming in. We're at this turning point, and we're a dangerous spot, actually. And hopefully all this kind of publicity is going to help us out. I do think there's a lot of young people that would like to get into agriculture. We need to figure out some programs, because there is no way that they can afford to buy property.
Yeah.
We're talking, I would love to expand our herd. I really would.
That was like I was thinking about that. Like, what does that take to?
So when I was,
How big is your herd right now?
so we've got about 50 cows.
Okay.
And we also run about 400 head of yearlings right now.
Yeah.
So our yearlings are kind of almost our mainstay. They're kind of our bread and butter, if you will. I want to buy more. I would love to buy more mother cows. So 2 years ago, we bought cows for just a hair over $1,800 a piece, bred cows. If I wanted to do that today, it's between $4,000 and $6,000.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So it's expensive.
Yeah.
And it's scary. And it's a lot of risk. And so you really have to sit down, and we are sitting on crazy high beef prices. If they stay like this for 5 years, you can do it. Everybody you talk about generational ranchers and what we've learned, everybody that's been in here for generations remembers the 80s, where we went to a high cattle market. Banks were loaning out money like crazy. It was, in my mind, is very predatory lending. And there was a lot of young agriculturists, my parents included, in that time frame. And overnight, the cattle prices dropped and never recovered. And all these people had gotten overextended. And we're talking to the tune of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And ranches never recovered. A lot of ranches went out of business. Interest rates were my dad remembered borrowing money to buy cattle at 18% interest from a bank. But, man, it's good. Things are rolling. Things are going good. We need to improve. We need to increase. This is our moment. And so, for me, if I could look at a crystal ball, man, that'd be awesome. And I could say, okay, this
Wouldn't
looks
it,
good
though?
for the
God.
next 5,
many
10,
ways.
15 years.
Yeah.
I would jump out tomorrow and I would go. I've already talked to my banker.
Yeah.
He said, you get ready to buy, you just give me a call and there's money there. I would go out tomorrow and do it. But I mean, thank God we learned from our past, because I do remember that. So I do have a threshold. If we do see some bubbles or some stuff I would like to do, I don't know. It's super scary. The other thing that scares me is, at what point do the consumers say we cannot do this? We cannot afford $10 a pound ground beef. You know, and I don't blame you. I don't blame them at all. Unfortunately, the cost of production. And then I think a lot of it has to do with your priorities in your food. I think I was reading something, it was probably on Facebook, so you know it's got to be gospel. Like potato chips at $18 a pound, but we're complaining about $10 ground beef.
Yeah.
You know, it's a priority thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's exciting. It's scary. It's historic. We've got to get some cattle numbers back up. Also, though, one of the things they don't talk about is that boxed beef used to be, I believe it was 350 pounds of meat is what you would get out of an animal.
Yep.
So and that was in the 50s when our numbers were very high. Numbers have been dropping steadily, but boxed beef is closer to 500 pounds right now. So while our levels of livestock are down, agriculture has done a fantastic job of how do we maximize
What we can harvest.
what we
from
can
this
do
animal.
per head.
Yeah.
And I always used to joke with my friends, agriculture, you need to have 110 production every year, 110% production every year should be your goal. Now, we all know that that's impossible to do, but that's really what we've done.
Okay,
and across the board.
I'm sorry, 350 to 500, like that's a pretty significant leap.
They used to butcher cattle
Is
at 1,250 pounds, and now they're butchering at 1,500 to 1,600 pounds. That's the difference.
Okay.
So while we have the lower numbers, we have the larger animals.
Got it.
And some of these breeds that have been developed for larger animals.
Yeah.
That's not something I'm for, but it's a way to to make up for lost time. We don't have as much ground as we used to. We don't have the numbers we used to. How do we still provide?
Yeah. Do you ever think about having an apprenticeship or something on your ranch? I mean, you mentioned that there is this decline in just this next generation coming in and taking over this craft.
I would like to do something. Education is, it's like number 2 goal that we would like to get to. I'd like to see some programs that would assist in, Wyoming, I believe, has a program where they pair a young agricultural bound person with an older generation rancher, farmer, that is probably going to go out of the business, doesn't have anybody that wants to take over, but they don't want to sell the place either. Maybe they've got family that want to keep the property and they have this kind of program. And I'm sure it's Wyoming, but anyway, where that kid can kind of learn under that older person, with the idea that then they will lease it from the family when that person retires. And I think stuff like that's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's just the expense. There's people interested. It's the expense and it's scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, in my experience, it really is difficult to find a person who fully understands the time and physical labor commitment.
Well, that's why exposure, I think, is so important, where it's not only letting them in on the reality of it, but exposing somebody to it in general.
Right.
If you don't have an opportunity to even dip your toe in the water, how do you know if you like it or not?
Well, exactly. But you also got to look at it on the rancher side.
Right. It's a big time commitment.
It's a time commitment. And so for me to do it, I would have to know that person is pretty darn serious about wanting to do something, because I don't have time to and it's not even a want. I would love to teach everybody in the world how to do it. But if you don't have the right interest and the right motivation, really we're just wasting each other's time.
Yeah.
So that's the frustrating part to me. And I feel like a lot of businesses feel this way. Like, you hear all the time, we can't find good employees. Yeah. They're out there. I think everybody could potentially be a good employee. It's finding the right fit for that person.
Yeah. So as we start to wrap up this meal, what do you hope lingers after this conversation like a really good dessert?
Honestly, if it's one thing I want people to take away, it's something we never even said, and that is, if you have questions about agriculture, ask somebody.
Yeah.
Most people are willing, and especially at a farmer's market scenario. Just
Don't be shy.
don't be shy. I know it's scary. It just communication really is the best policy for anything, and we will solve so many issues if we just have a question and answer it.
Agreed. Agreed.
So we didn't even talk about it, but that's my dessert for you.
I love that dessert.
that's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Eric, I love you. You, Juliana, the kids are welcome at my table anytime.
Awesome. And vice versa. Stop by. You drive by here all the time, so come on in.
Thank you. I will.
Yes.
You know.
I
you
know. I know. Exactly. So.
Oh, and I love all of you who pulled up a chair and joined us. Thank you for tuning in to Dish and Tell. If you liked this episode, the easiest way to show your support is to like and follow this podcast. My pot roast recipe is available on my Substack, which I'll link in the show notes. And until next time, buon appetito.
See ya. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
That was fun.
That was fun.